Every evening, around 7:13 p.m., someone stands in my bedroom window. Someone who looks exactly like me. At first, I just thought it was my reflection. You know, the way glass sometimes catches the light and shows you your own face. But then, one night, something was off. I waved my hand, just to check. And the girl in the window waved back. But she was just a little too slow, like an echo. I froze. A chill crawled up my spine. This wasn't a reflection. It wasn't copying me. It was watching me. And then, the worst part happened. The girl in the window. My reflection. It smiled. A slow, wide smile that didn't reach her eyes. My own face wasn't smiling. My blood ran cold. From that night on, it became a terrifying ritual. Every single evening, I'd find myself staring at the clock, my heart pounding in my chest. 7:10, 7:11. At 7:12, I'd hold my breath. My room would be quiet, the window just a dark square of glass, showing the night sky. I'd almost convince myself it was all a bad dream. Then, at exactly 7:13, a pale face would slide up into view from the bottom of the frame. Her eyes were always wide, unblinking, and locked right onto mine. The first time it happened after the smile, I gasped so loud I thought my parents would hear, but no one came. It was just me and her, the other me. She would just stand there, staring, and then she started tapping on the glass, a slow, rhythmic sound that seemed to echo inside my head. Tap, tap, tap. It was like she was trying to get in. Of course, I tried to tell my parents. The first few times, I ran out of my room, screaming, "There's a girl in my window. She looks just like me." They'd always sigh, that tired parent sigh, and say, "Honey, it's just your reflection. Your room is dark, and the hallway light is on." I'd grab their hands, pulling them, pleading, "No, you don't understand. Come and look, please, just look now." But every single time, by the time we got back to my room, the window was empty, just my own, normal, frightened face staring back at me. They'd pat my shoulder, tell me to stop scaring myself, and leave. I'd be left alone, standing in the middle of the room, my terrified gaze fixed on that empty, dark pane of glass. They didn't believe me. No one did. I was completely alone with this thing, and every night, it got bolder. The other me in the window started playing a twisted game of copycat. One night, I decided to test her again. I slowly raised my right hand. Instead of copying me, she just tilted her head, her expression blank, her eyes still locked on mine. A shiver went down my spine. This was different. I shook my head from side to side, trying to show her I wasn't playing. And that's when she grinned again, that same wide, unnatural smile. It was like she was enjoying my fear. I took a step back, my voice barely a whisper. "You're not me." As if in response, she pressed her hand flat against the glass. I gasped. Her fingers. They weren't normal. They were too long, too pale, stretching and bending against the pane in a way that just wasn't right. It was like they were made of wax. I stumbled backward, away from the window, my heart hammering against my ribs. She wasn't just a copy anymore. She was changing. She was becoming something else. Then came the night I'll never forget. I was sitting on my bed, shaking, waiting. The clock on my nightstand clicked over. 7:13. I stared at the window. Nothing. The dark glass remained empty. I waited. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. A whole minute passed. She wasn't there. For the first time in weeks, she didn't appear. A wave of relief washed over me. So powerful, it almost made me dizzy. Maybe it was over. Maybe she was gone for good. I let out a long, shaky breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. And that's when I heard it. A sound from behind me. A slow, quiet creak. My head snapped around. The door to my closet was slowly swinging open, revealing nothing but a slice of deep, pitch-black darkness inside. My entire body went rigid, and then a voice whispered from that darkness, a voice that sounded just like mine. It said, "Why are you sitting in my room?" I screamed, a real terrified scream that tore from my throat. The figure stepped out of the closet's darkness. It was her, the other me. But seeing her up close was a million times worse than seeing her through the glass. Her smile was stretched impossibly wide, and her eyes, dark and glassy, didn't blink, not even once. She took a slow step towards me, her head tilted. "You've been looking at me every night," she said, her voice a chilling imitation of my own. I was frozen, pinned to my bed by pure terror. My voice was a choked whisper. "What? What do you want?" She glided closer until her face was right next to my ear. Her breath was cold. She whispered for words that sealed my fate. "I want your place." At that exact moment, the lights in my room began to flicker wildly, buzzing and flashing like a strobe. The world spun, and then everything went completely dark. When the lights flickered back on a moment later, someone was sitting on my bed. It was a girl who looked exactly like me, Ria. She stood up, her movements a little too smooth, a little too perfect. She walked over to my window, the same window where the nightmare had started, and she stared out into the night. Her eyes caught the light, and they seemed to glint with a cold, triumphant sparkle. She smiled that same, slow, wrong smile. Then, she turned her head and looked directly at you, at the camera. "She won't come back," she said, her voice sounding almost right, but not quite. As she spoke, the camera slowly pans over to the closet door, which is now closed. From behind it, you can hear a faint, desperate scratching sound, and a muffled, crying voice, a voice you might recognize. "Let me out, please. I'm the real one. Let me out." The lights in the room suddenly shut off, plunging everything into final, absolute darkness.